We have Mr. Alex Neist, who is a serial entrepreneur and founder of Hostage Tape. In this episode, we talk all about the science behind mouth taping, but really his entrepreneurial journey. We talk about how to run Facebook ads and some of the key, metrics and leverage points that you need to know if you're going to grow a business. Right? We're going to be diving into this episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast. Do you want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Kerry Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model / actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco-warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact. It is time to happy hustle your dream reality. Yee! All right, my man, Mr. Alex Neist. Welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my brother. I am super stoked to rock the mic with you.
Dude, it's great to be here, man. Thank you.
Yeah. This is going to be a fun one. I mean, we're going to talk all things growing and scaling a company to 8 figures and beyond, and how people can actually sleep better and optimize their health with Hostage Tape, which is super cool. I'm excited to get into the economics, the scaling, how you run a team, how you're still managing being a husband, a father, because, man, your story is interesting. After snoring caused your divorce, you hit rock bottom. And then you were living in your aunt's basement, stuck in a dead-end job. Then you realized that sleep was a key factor in your life falling apart, which then discovered and sent you on this life-changing journey of mouth taping. 2 years later, you're back together with your wife and your family, and you built Hostage Tape into a $40 million brand, helping over 100,000 people sleep better. That's just some of the high notes, and we're going to get into all that and much more. But before we do, Alex, what is something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
Something interesting about myself? Oh boy, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. But
Yes.
I say this only because, so recently we got shown on the Love is Blind Netflix show.
Okay.
So that they just released the new season of it, and we got shown on Love is Blind. And it gives me flashbacks from when I was younger, because I was on my own reality TV show. I was actually on Eliminate back when I was in my early 20s. I was the guy that got to go on a date with 4 women. And then as you go through the show, you eliminate each one until you get down to the final 2. And then you pick the one you want to go on a date with.
Interesting. All right, man. You and I share a little reality TV background in a world way back when I had a couple reality TV show offers. One, I was almost on The Real World, and that I was like final cast, but they wanted to dig up everything, so I just pulled out of the audition process because it's like what they, it's all like dramatized. And then I was almost on Alone, but then they wanted me to get the vaccine, which is crazy because I'm going to be alone. Why the hell do I need to get the vaccine?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, nonetheless, cool story. Glad to hear it. And also, I found out too, you played pro football too, arena football at that.
I did.
And that's cool.
Yeah, you can see on the jerseys behind me here. My first love was football, and I dedicated 20 years of my life to being the best football player I could be, and I tried to be the next Kurt Warner and make it to the NFL by playing arena football.
Yeah, I mean, and as a quarterback at that, which is, such a pivotal position. And I played sports growing up. We also share that in common. Played soccer mainly. I did play football in college, largely just to date the head cheerleader. Wasn't very good. But, I played receiver and safety. It was still fun.
Nice.
But anyway, man, I love sports. I love talking to former athletes, especially at a high level, because there's a different type of dedication and drive and discipline that I feel athletes have that translates well to being an entrepreneur. Let's just stay there for a beat. What did sports teach you in order to be successful as an entrepreneur?
I tell you, the thing about being an entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur, that most people don't teach you is there's this daily grind. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. It's not like you wake up one day and, hey, guess what? We're doing $20 million in revenue.
Right.
Happy day. It's
Yeah.
not. It takes you day after day after day to build and to get there. Nobody's success overnight. Yes, sometimes it happens on TikTok. You go viral and something crazy
Yeah.
happens. But most of us were an overnight success of 16 years, right? I'm a 16-year overnight success. It took
Right.
me 16 years plus to build this business, to have the experience to be able to grow it into what it is. And so being an athlete, a professional athlete, was you are every day you're doing the same thing. It's the same schedule. You wake up, you go to the gym, or you go to training, you go to practice, and you grind day after
Mm.
day after day. And again, most people who want to be a professional athlete think how amazing and fun it is,
Yeah.
but it's not all fun, right?
Yeah.
Because it's repetitive, it's hard work, that's a lot of pressure.
Right.
And it's, can you handle that? Do you have the mindset to literally put yourself through that grind, that gruel every day, every hour? And so as
Right.
an entrepreneur, right, you have to know that you have to keep chipping away. You have to keep
Yeah.
chipping away, keep chipping away. And on top of it, you have to be able to handle failure, because
Yeah.
as an
True.
entrepreneur, the best entrepreneurs can learn from failure, adjust, adapt, change, move forward. And you have to be great at that, because otherwise, how do we succeed if we don't learn from failure? And an
Yeah.
athlete, that's the definition of being an athlete, is we fail every day, every
Yeah.
week, and then we learn, we adjust, and we get better.
Yeah.
So,
Amen. That's the truth. And my friend Anthony Trucks talks about the dark work, right? Like as an entrepreneur and as an athlete, you have to put in the dark work in order to shine in the light, right?
yeah.
When the cameras are on, or your come game day. So yeah, I just love that analogy, and it's cool to hear your history of sports and how it's positively affected your business journey. Speaking of your business journey, I know you had a SaaS company, as did I, and it basically drove you to burnout, which is
Yeah.
essentially what we at the Happy Hustle combat. Like, this is our ultimate enemy. I see exhausted entrepreneurs out there just toiling away, and then eventually they hit burnout. And that's really was largely my journey, and thus sent us on this path to happy hustling, a life that we love both personally and professionally. So walk us through that transition period when you were grinding like a dog, and you actually did burn out. And then how'd you pull yourself out of that?
Yeah. So I had just gotten divorced, and I'm living in my aunt's basement at the time, right? That was like the low point of this burnout phase for
Mm,
me. And so, really, then it goes back even earlier from there, right? Where when you transition from being an athlete to a dad to this new chapter of your life, you kind of don't know what to do. It's a really difficult transition, and it's just, you just don't know how to take it, right?
mm,
And so this change then is so dramatic that you 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 lose all the structure of having the team, you lose all the camaraderie, all those relationships. So transitioning from that was the start of that, really, where then I started the business, and it was a grind for really 10 years, to where then my wife and I, we had two kids at the time, where I wasn't taking care of myself. I
mm.
wasn't focused. I was focusing too much on my business, and I wasn't
Right.
focusing enough on my wife and my kids, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's really one of the biggest issues that I'm sure you run into is
Yeah.
most of us who burn out, we're workaholics. And I'm a workaholic. I still am. I love to work, but I was too focused on the business that I then forgot about my wife, forgot about my
Mm-hmm.
kids, forgot about me,
Yeah.
right? And so then as a result, everything starts to fall away. Resentment built. I snored like a chainsaw. And because I
Yeah.
wasn't taking care of myself, and I wasn't watching what I ate, my weight, working out, I snored so awfully that it pushed my wife into the other bedroom for years. And then from there, resentment really builds. Because look, people laugh about it. They think, well, sleep in a separate bedroom. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, it is. It is a big deal. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be sleeping in separate bedrooms, man. Like, that's an
Yeah.
important time to bond
Yeah.
and to be with your wife, even if it's in the same bed. Maybe you're not cuddling, but that's important. And so then when that happens, resentment builds and it snowballs and gets out of control. And so really snoring and that separate bedroom became this accelerant
Yeah.
for our relationship continuing to fall apart. And so then as that progressed, and then I hit that low point, I finally went, man, what do I got to do to become a better father, a better husband, a better leader, and a better man? What do I need
Mm.
to do? I had this like Jocko moment of extreme accountability.
Yeah.
How do I become extreme accountability of what I need to do, what I can control?
Right.
And then I looked and I said, everything in my life up to this point, it's all because of me. It's my responsibility. My failure in my marriage, my failure in my life, my family life, everything was because of me. Because I'm the leader of the family. I'm the captain of the ship. And it's my job to drive it, to lead it, to have a vision of where we're going. It's kind of like you get into a car and you're going to drive from point A to point B. You don't just get in the car and go, I think we're going to make it. I don't know how we're going to get there, but I think we'll get there. You
Right.
know, because you have a map or you use Google Maps that, all right, I'm going to put in my destination and I know that we're going to take this road because this is where it's telling me to go. If I have to deviate, I'll deviate. If there's traffic, we'll deal with it, but I know exactly where I'm headed. And you lose track of that and you get burned out and you're not focused on the right things. And
Mm-hmm.
so then at that point, when I said, all right, enough is enough, everything had crumbled around me. What do I need to do? And I started with my sleep. That was the first thing I went, what do I got to do with my sleep? And how do I improve my snoring issue? And then I went down this rabbit hole that then led to mouth taping of all things. Like, it sounds crazy. Most people watching this or listening are thinking, mouth taping sounds like the dumbest thing ever. Like, is that really for real? It
Yeah.
sounds stupid. And you go down that rabbit hole and it was life changing for me. And then it started this upward trajectory of a phoenix rising from the ashes,
Mm.
right? Of finally getting my footing and knowing this is my next business. This is what I can do. I can build this brand to inspire men. And then it all started from there.
Yeah, man. It's such a sad reality of high performing entrepreneurs, but I almost feel like this vicious cycle of sacrificing our family, our friends, our faith, our fitness, our fun, oftentimes for quote unquote success in our company. It's like it's a prerequisite, even though it's not. And we're here to change it with our whole soul mapping system and the happy hustle. However, I hear this time and time again. And I was in the same boat, man. I fell victim to many of the things that you talked about, and there really is a better way to, again, we say systematically harmonize ambition and well-being where you can crush it, yeah, as a business owner and really positively impact many lives. I know you're changing, you over 100,000 customers are using your product. I mean, that's pretty awesome, man. Like, and you're set out to just make a dent in the universe with your product. And we, as entrepreneurs, that drives us, that ambition. Well, what about our well-being at our home, with our wife, our kids, right? This is stuff that, you know, I look at quote unquote successful entrepreneurs. And if they don't have the holistic spectrum of happiness, then I don't really take advice from them because it doesn't suit me, and there's this facade. What's your take on just the whole burnout culture at large and just now this grinder mentality with entrepreneurs? How do we remedy it, Alex?
Yeah. The irony of it all is, when you talked about like kind of motivation behind it all, for me, my motivation was always I loved my family more than
Right.
anything. I loved my wife. I loved my kids. I loved that,
Right.
but I wasn't good at it. And so as a result, everything that I was building, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, a business owner, because I wanted to have time with my family. I wanted to be to control my destiny of if we wanted to go to the zoo on a Thursday afternoon. We could go to the zoo and I could be with my kids and my wife. And if we wanted to go on a vacation, we could do that at any time. Versus I could have gone and been an NFL coach, but I knew that if I did that, I wouldn't be the master of my destiny and
Right.
my time.
Right.
Right. So I chose that knowing that I wanted that for my family. And the
Freedom.
irony of it is that very thing that I was working for ended up causing me to lose all of it.
Right.
Right. So I think the way that we remedy it is we actually look and say, okay, how do we have to prioritize everything? And I would say the best way that I reframed my prioritization is we have to put ourselves first. Number one. It's like you get on an airplane and they say, put the mask on front of yourself so you can take care of the people next to you. 100% true, right? We as men, especially in our families, we're the ones taking care of our families. It's our responsibility. It's our purpose to do good in the world, but also to take care of our families and provide them what they need with our mission in life. And if I can't take care of myself, then I can't do that. I can't do my mission and I can't take care of my family. So number one is understand, put yourself first, take care of yourself, put more work into yourself so that you can take care of everybody else around you, including your employees.
Mm.
And then number two, it's understanding what's next. Then it's your partner, right? Your wife, your husband, whoever that is. And then number three, it's your kids.
Mm.
So that's a great starting point of understanding that hierarchy. Because if you get number one right, even if you do the first one of taking care of yourself, then everything else can fall into place from there.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it is a little counterintuitive. You think, put yourself first? That seems selfish, right? But
Yeah.
if you're not operating, you know, at the highest degree, then it's going to be difficult for you to give from your overflow to those who need you the most. You know, we have a saying, if you want a 10, you got to be a 10, right?
Yeah.
So you always look at your partner and you're like, they're not doing this, this, and that. Well, what about you? What are you not doing? How are you not being the 10
Exactly.
that you seek? And again, this is advice that I never claim to be the guru and shit. I just say I'm the reporter. Hey, when I'm doing this stuff, it's working. So I report back to the tribe and the happy hustlers out there, and I think that is really that student mindset of how can we constantly be evolving as entrepreneurs, as, just as
And
better humans.
and the other side of that, right, to go along with it is it's stoicism, really, right?
Right.
It's thinking about what can I control and don't react to things outside of my control.
Yeah.
So in that vein and that effort of working on yourself, it's then also controlling your emotions, your reactions, and understanding like none of this stuff out here matters. However, that person's reacting to me, however, that business did this, whatever, none of it matters. All that matters is what can I can control? What can I control? What's my responsibility? And own
Right.
as much of your responsibility as you can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, your attitude and your effort are really the two main things you can control. You don't control the election. Sorry, people. I know it's coming, but
Yeah.
it doesn't really mean anything to your immediate reality. You need to focus on what you can control, like Alex is talking about. Speaking of controlling, I'm controlling my nasal breathing with this strip right now, and I'm breathing like a champ. And people probably watching this YouTube are like, "All right, look at these two dudes rocking
Well,
nose strips."
knuckleheads with these black things on
Yeah,
their nose.
yeah. What's going on with these nose strips? So before we get too deep into the business side of it, because I do want to like actually uncover how the heck did you get a $40 million a year brand, right? That's pretty awesome, and not very many people actually accomplish that as an entrepreneur. So I do want to get into all that, but let's get into a little bit of the science of
Yeah.
why it works. Because like you're solving a real problem, and that's what entrepreneurship is solving people's problems at a profit, as my buddy Wade Lightheart talks about. So you're doing just that. Let's talk about the problem first and foremost, and
Yep.
the science behind how your
Yeah,
solution helps.
exactly. Well, and that's the beauty of this business and any business out there.
Yeah.
People looking
Yeah.
to create a business is the best thing you can do is solve a problem.
Right.
Find a problem in your life that you might be running into. And so what I ran into head first was this problem of I wasn't getting very good sleep. Why wasn't I getting very good sleep? I didn't know at the time. So then when I discovered, so there was this experiment. So James Nestor wrote this best-selling book,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Breath. And in this book, he talks about this experiment where they go to Stanford Medical Center, they plug their nose for 10 days. And over these 10 days, they developed sleep apnea, they snored like crazy and had dangerously low levels of oxygen in their blood. And then after 10 days, they unplugged their nose, they mouth taped, and everything went away in one day. So what that told me was everything had to do with mouth breathing. And so what I realized was my whole life is since I was a kid, I was mouth breathing while I was sleeping. And we shouldn't be
Mm.
mouth breathing. And so it really comes down to that. It's when we mouth breathe, we're not getting the oxygen that our body needs. It sounds counterintuitive that like what does it matter? You're breathing with your mouth. You can get more air in, right? But you're actually getting more oxygen uptake throughout your body when you breathe through your nose. And without getting again too complicated into it, there's just a simple concept of how much CO2 we have in our body. When we have
Mm.
CO2, then our body can use the oxygen.
Yeah.
And when we shut our mouth and we nasal breathe, then we have more CO2 that our body can then do that exchange of CO2 and oxygen, and we get more uptick throughout our body. Another one is when we breathe through our nose, we trigger the release of nitric oxide. That's a vasodilator, opens up the
Mm.
vessels, gets the blood moving, right? Another one is the nose, it's filtering the air. So there's a lot of garbage, cold, dry air, just like you wouldn't drink dirty water, right? Your body isn't going to like it. You're going to throw it up. It's not going to be able to use it. Your body likes to have clean air that's warmed and it's humidified once it hits your lungs. It can use the oxygen much better that way.
Mm.
So, and then lastly, it actually protects your teeth. So a lot of people who mouth breathe, me included, have just terrible teeth. Our teeth were pitted out, cavities. So when you dry out the saliva has a lot of really good bacteria that protects the teeth. And also you don't get bad breath. But when you're mouth breathing, all that goes away. Bad bacteria forms, bad breath, all of it. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of really sound reasons for someone to explore this solution. You mentioned too your thing of snoring, and like, I mean, I know my brother and dad snore like a damn freight train, especially when we
mhm.
go camping, which we go camping a lot. In the tent, it's a nightmare, and like you say, it holds you hostage as the recipient of somebody
Exactly.
snoring. And my
Yep.
wife, she now is saying I'm starting to snore, so she's going to be happy with me taping up more regularly, because I didn't think I ever snored, but apparently I do. I broke my nose a couple of times in sports and also altercations,
Yeah.
but nonetheless, I didn't breathe great. I had two deviated septums, and so I had to have surgery a couple of times. So anyway, I know there's stuff going on, and the problem of snoring, of not getting proper oxygen intake, and not
Yep.
really using your nasal passages as God intended,
Yeah.
and using more so your mouth to breathe. This is a real issue. And
Yeah.
my friends at
Did,
Brand Builders Group. Oh, go ahead,
I'll put I'll put a stat to it just so you
please.
Carrie. So there's 128 million households in America, roughly, maybe a little more than that. Over
Yeah.
71% of them are mouth breathing when they sleep at night.
Oh, wow. That's
It's a
yeah,
huge amount of people who
the
have this
majority of
issue.
people. Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and what I was going to say is that my friends at Brand Builders Group, they talk about, you know one word, what is the problem you solve, right? And for us at the Happy Hustle, we solve the problem of imbalance, right? Burnout is typically a symptom of the root cause of imbalance, right? You're working too
Mhm.
much. Snoring could very well be the problem, that you're solving on a global scale. And 71% of people, and you said in the United States, are mouth breathers, which probably means they're snoring, right? This is a huge, massive problem, and you found a solution with simple tape in it. And it is oftentimes the simplest of stuff that really scales. They say, simplicity scales, complexity fails, right? So talk to us a little bit about how you actually came about, like, creating the product, I see it's made overseas. So talk to us about sourcing it and,
Yep.
just setting up your supply chain.
Yeah. So when the idea of mouth taping, we discovered it, and I had experienced just how like life changing it was. Because look, when you're getting poor sleep and you finally get great sleep, you realize how life changing it is.
Yeah.
And so that's why if you've ever talked to a mouth taper, like they literally can't stop talking about it because it's life changing. And so when that happened, I immediately knew, okay, there's a business here. But my fear, like any entrepreneur starting a new venture, was, well, wait a minute. Is there like a big enough market for this? Like,
Mm,
do I have some sort of protection? Because it is tape. So can I actually build this into a big enough business that like some other 3M isn't just going to take me out like that? And so then what I realized was I was really into podcasts at the time. I still am, but I loved listening to My First Million, those guys,
yeah.
and they talked to Moise Ali, and Moise Ali tells this great story. Moise Ali was famously the founder of Native Deodorant, and
Mm,
he tells this story about how when you go down the aisles of Target and you see like a wall of white, there's an opportunity there, and the opportunity is to stand out and be different. And so that paired with Liquid Death, I'm really into Liquid Death. I love what Mike and the team did with that brand. You realize all around you is there's all sorts of products that they're just consumable, average products that you can get anywhere. You can get in all sorts of fashions. But the magic is creating a brand around this
right.
product,
Right.
standing out, and then inspiring people to believe in that product, to believe in what you're doing, and to identify with it. And because look, Liquid Death, it's water.
Right.
It's the largest commodity on the planet. So why is Liquid Death one of the fastest growing beverage brands in history? It's because they created this amazing brand that's inspiring people and they're having fun and it's different. And I love it. I love how it makes me feel. It's ironic as it is, like you you drink a Liquid Death and it's kind of like you're drinking a beer, even though I'm not drinking a beer, you know?
Yeah.
But you just feel cool. You feel cool that you're drinking this brand of water. And so that was when I realized, okay, we have something then, because we're solving a problem. It's life changing, and we just have to create a brand around it,
Mm,
right? So then what I did at that point was like, okay, how do I take this then? In addition to building a brand, actually finding product market fit, meaning how am I going to differentiate this tape in a way that actually solves some key issues, some key problems that people are going to go, oh, yeah, I'm going to buy this because it solves this problem. And this is why it's great compared to, well, why wouldn't I just use Scotch tape? What's the difference? Right. And so we identified that, at least for me, there was a couple of core issues. So one of them was, okay, well, the tape has to be strong enough, right? Because for me, and like most men, I've got a strong jaw and just a little bit of tape, whether it was a strip or it was Scotch tape or anything, it's not strong enough. It doesn't hold. It just pops right off. So I knew, okay, it's got to be strong enough, but it can't be like duct tape. Duct tape isn't healthy. It's really toxic, the glue and everything in there, and it's definitely not safe. Definitely don't want to use duct tape, but you'd be surprised at how many people do. In fact, a NFL quarterback once told me, he was like, "Oh yeah, I just use duct tape." I was like, "Let me get you on Hotch's tape."
yeah. Yeah.
So okay, that was one. All right, let's make sure it's strong but not too strong.
Yeah.
And then another was facial hair. So you have a lot of facial hair. Most
Mm,
men, the issue is they'll say, "Well, I can't wear mouth tape because I've got all this facial hair. It just doesn't work well with facial hair." And so we knew, okay, whatever we use, it's got to be able to work well with facial hair, with stubble, with all this stuff that's going on here. And so then we realized, okay, let's solve these issues, make sure it looks cool, it feels great, it's comfortable, people still feel safe, and then we had it. And that was probably about a 6-month period of going through different versions of the tape. The adhesive was really the biggest challenge, was making sure, again, it was strong enough, but not too strong. There was a
Right.
balance we had to find
Right.
with that. And that just took 6 months of going back and forth and trying different formulas of the strength of it, until finally we were like, okay, I think this is it. And then you take that first step of ordering your first batch of inventory.
How many did you
And
order
then
at first?
I want to say I made a mistake too. So this
Yeah.
is worth noting for the audience, that
Please,
when
yeah.
you're
Give us
making
the
an
details.
inventory order, especially your first couple, it's like my dad used to always tell me, you got to measure twice, cut once. Okay? Because I made a mistake in my communication to the manufacturer. I wasn't clear enough on a particular detail, and then the first batch came out wrong. So
Oh,
the
no.
very first version of hostage tape wasn't the hostage tape that people know and love today.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Apologies for interrupting your programming, but I have to tell you, the best investment you can make in yourself is one in which helps you acquire skills. You've probably heard people talk about, oh, just invest in yourself and you'll be successful. Yes, that's true to a degree, but you have to invest in skills that will ultimately help you achieve your desired results. And I think one of the best skills one can possess, be it an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, is the sales sword. Really knowing how to sell, utilizing pressure free persuasion, which will make you more money and more impact. Now, if you want to know how to sell more efficiently and effectively, I just launched a sales course called The Proven Roadmap Process to Selling Millions of Dollars and helping you to increase your conversions guaranteed. And you can get access to this new sales course that The Happy Hustle is launching at thehappyhustle.com/sales. And if you act fast, you'll get it at the lowest price it'll ever be available, because we are launching it and we want to gain amazing testimonials and social proof to further share this knowledge. So if you act fast, you can get it at the lowest price it'll ever be. That's at thehappyhustle.com/sales. Now let's get back to this episode.
It was there was a variation to it that was off. And so the moral of the story there is you just got to make sure when you're talking about inventory, especially to a manufacturer who might be overseas and there's communication barriers, you just got to be very detailed and reiterate and reconfirm multiple times. So every detail of the order of what you're trying to get made is very clear. You can never assume that they just know. Oh, well, they know that. You can't assume. Never.
Yeah.
And so I would say the first order was a couple thousand units. It wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so you got the product, right? You tooled it, you did some R&D, you got it to a place where you were comfortable producing a larger quantity. Now you have, I'm assuming, a website set up and you got the ability to take payment. Walk us through that next kind of 6 months of really starting to get the product out there, and how'd you do so?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first step there, I think that's important to mention, is a lot of people might go, well, I mean, how do I design a website? What do I do?
Yeah.
Just use Shopify, man. Shopify is a phenomenal tool. If you're selling a product, Shopify is a great tool, a phenomenal way to do that really easily.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we just got on Shopify. And fortunately, my business partner, Ben, he's the brains behind all the creative and the branding. So it was really easy to have all the assets, all the images and videos and stuff that we needed to get the website up and running. And I knew, unlike most people who start a business, I always start a business with a 2-year P&L. So I create a 2-year runway. So I know exactly, it's a roadmap like we talked about earlier, right? I know exactly where we're starting and where we're going to go and how we're going to get there. because then how each month might change and, adjust the trajectory of where we're going.
Mm.
So I understand my numbers, and I would reiterate that you got to understand your numbers. You have to understand all of your numbers about everything that you're doing, because then it all has a cascade effect of decisions you make on month 3, how it might affect then month 8, and then knowing where you're headed. And so I knew that for us to get to where I wanted to go was going to be with meta ads. It was scaling meta ads in a strategic way that was going to get us where we needed to be.
Mm.
And, the funny thing about that was, before we really even truly launched it all, my business partner, Ben, and I'll never forget, we had this conversation, and it was the, well, how big do we think this could be conversation, right? And then you start to think about the forecast of where we're going to be in 5 years. And I already had all that planned out. Well, actually, I didn't have it planned out just yet, but I was mapping it all out. And I had said to him, well, yeah, I think we can be $100 million business. And I went, no, we can be $1 billion business. I'm going to add a 0 to it. So what I did there was, a lot of times we as new business owners, we don't give ourselves enough credit on where we think we can actually go with something. And so sometimes we lower the bar too far, and we don't maybe think big enough.
Yeah.
And so I caught myself not thinking big enough. I mean, again, this is assuming there actually is a TAM, a large enough TAM there. But I caught myself not thinking big enough, and I went, nope, I'm going to add a 0 to it. We're going to be $1 billion business, and this is how we're going to get there. And then I created the P&L, and then I knew exactly how we were going to scale it, and then the amount of money that I was going to spend each month getting Facebook where it needed to be, getting my return, and then to continue to put cash back into the business.
Yeah, I mean, it really is math when it comes down to it. Business, just a simple math equation. Obviously, you need to know your numbers in order to, get it right. When it comes to like marketing, specifically with Meta, I know you just took it in house and you were like, I need to learn Meta ads. I need to have my finger on the pulse, because a lot of people outsource, myself included. I don't want to go down the ads rabbit hole. I don't want to be all things to everybody. I need to stay focused on my unique zone of genius, and rightfully so. A lot of that stuff is important as a founder, to really be focused and know when to delegate. But you need to be able to speak the language enough in order to delegate properly anyway. I know you were like, I want to own the ads and really just crush it. For someone out there who knows they need to advertise, but maybe is reluctant. How did you get over that hump, and maybe some tips there?
Yeah. So this is my hot take on it. Because yes, there's agencies out there that you can hire, and they do a great job running Facebook ads. And for most people don't know how to run Facebook ads, because you might look at it and go, oh, this is too complicated. It's not what I'm good at. I don't want to do it. I'm telling you though, learning how to do Facebook ads, meta ads, is such a valuable skill that you can learn how to do it. And everybody should learn how to do it, especially if you're starting a business where you should be doing Facebook ads. You should absolutely learn it, because like you just alluded to, maybe you don't end up running your Facebook ads, but you understand enough of it that you know that when you hire the agency to do it, you know exactly what they're doing, why they're doing it, where they're going with it. So you know that you're not getting screwed. But then you can also strategize on your P&L, knowing where you need to be and how you're going to get there. But for me, I knew, and I'm the kind of guy that I love having control on my destiny and where we're going. And I knew that if we were going to get to being this $1 billion brand, the way we were going to get there was through meta ads. And that was our biggest way that we were going to get there, right? So I knew that I needed to understand it better than anything. So what better way than for me to spend my time learning how to do it? And how I did it is YouTube University, man.
Yeah, right.
knowing the right people to look at, like Ben Heath's channel on YouTube is a
Mm,
phenomenal way to learn how to do the fundamentals of Facebook ads. And
yeah.
so I learned by watching his channel, and then you get in and you start doing it, and you start somewhere. You have to start, put one foot in front of the other, and then keep working and keep building. And then you get to a point where I was spending $1 million a month on Facebook at one point,
Let's
but
go.
you have to do it, right? You have
Yeah.
to learn. And I think everybody should learn how to do Facebook ads. Even if you think it's not your wheelhouse, I think
Yeah.
you should learn. It's a phenomenal skill to learn.
Yeah. I agree. It really is. And knowing the key metrics, I think, in every business. Let's talk about some of your key metrics if you don't mind
Yeah.
sharing. Like I know one of your key metrics is right customer acquisition cost. This is
Hmm.
something everyone needs to know. ROAS, right? Return on your ad spend, another key metric. Talk to us about some of those key metrics and how
Yep.
did you kind of pull the levers, will you, to get those numbers to a place where you could scale with confidence?
Well, the first thing you have to look at is, what are you selling? Are you selling a one purchase product, like a bed? Somebody's going to buy one bed, they're
Right.
going to have it for 10 years. Or are you selling a consumable that people are going to buy daily,
Yeah,
weekly, monthly? Because that matters then
it
on
does.
what
Yeah.
you pay attention to and how you market it. And so for us, we're a consumable. We're a product that people put on this piece of tape on their mouth every night, and they're using it every day for months and weeks and years. And so for us, it was understanding our CAC to LTV, right? Our cost of acquisition, and then what's the lifetime value of that person.
Right.
Now, I will say, I don't think it's smart to just purely play the LTV game, but you have to understand it. You have to
Yeah.
understand, all right, what's your LTV? What does it look like? Because you still got to have enough cash coming in. You can't bet so long on LTV that you don't have enough cash coming in that you can support the business, unless you've
True.
got enough cash, you fundraised or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
But you still have to be generating enough, have a good enough cash conversion cycle where cash is coming back in that you can then continue to reinvest on marketing. And so for us, it was, okay, what does it cost to acquire a customer? And I would say one of the biggest mistakes people make is they don't reverse engineer that well enough. And
Mm,
even I made that mistake, because when iOS 14 happened, before that, Facebook marketing was easy, and you could put $1 in and get $6 out really easily. But now you can put $1 in and you have to be really good to get $2 out. It's
mm,
really hard.
yeah.
And because the technology has made it harder, but now on top of it, everybody else around you is better. So
True.
now it's kind of like doing Facebook ads is, before it was, it's like going out onto the playground and playing pickup basketball. Like, you could go out and beat any kid. But now it's going out onto an NBA court and everybody else is a pro.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just
True.
it's just not as easy as it used to be. So you have to be really good at it. And so understanding that, what does it cost to acquire a customer for my product, and then pricing your product accordingly. So then you
Mm,
know, all right, am I going to be first order profitable, or can I at least break even? So for us, I wasn't thinking about that starting out. That was a mistake I made. I didn't
mm,
quite understand what it was going to cost to acquire a customer on Facebook. And so because I didn't know, we went in and we were trying to lean on a monthly subscription.
mm.
And at the time it was, 20, I think we were trying to go with like a $19 a month subscription for a month of mouth tape. And that was the goal, knowing that, okay, over time, right? LTV, we're going to get people buying $200 a year or whatever, something like that. Right. So, but what I didn't account for was, okay, well, if it's going to cost me, let's say it costs me $30 to acquire a customer, then $30 minus my cogs, my shipping, all of that, then means, oh man, it's going to take me this amount of months to be profitable on that cash conversion cycle. Okay. So then I went, that's a problem. It's going to take me too long.
Yeah.
I need to have a higher AOV. So then I went and I said, okay,
Average
because
order
AOV
value
was an
for
important
people who
metric
don't
here.
know.
Yeah, average order value. So then I went, all right, how do I increase my AOV so I can get more dollars in the door early on that
Right.
first order rather than try to rely too much on the LTV? So then for us, we said, okay, how do we start bundling stuff together? So rather than say, here's a month subscription, here's buy two, get one free, or here's buy two, buy three. And then we added a second product, which was a nose strip, and we started bundling and cross-selling things together to again increase the order value. What additional value can I give? Because again, a mistake that people make was don't discount your product, right? Don't ever discount a product. Instead, add value. So
Right.
instead of saying here's a month supply for 25% off, don't do that, because then you're devaluing your product and you're training people to think that
Wait
your
for the
product
sale.
isn't worth that much. And then they're always
Yeah.
going to look for the discount.
Right.
And instead say, here's two, here's three for the price of two instead. So now I'm giving them more and I'm giving them a better deal. People are feeling like they're getting a deal, right? And I'm getting more money on that first order.
Right.
And unit economics now for them say, yeah, they're getting a better deal, a better price per unit on this than if they just bought one. And so then that's how we started to really scale, was by increasing the AOV, by bundling and increasing the AOV in that first order. So then if my CAC was $30, it didn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I hope we're not talking over people's heads here. I know a lot of the audience is fully up to speed with, digital marketing, and what we're discussing here is the core principles of how you run a successful e-com business, specifically a consumable. This stuff is like, this is gold. This is a masterclass, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're taking notes, because Alex is dropping value bombs. And it really comes down to knowing your numbers, being very clear with, what problem you're solving, how you're marketing it, who you're marketing it to. And a lot of that goes into, um, really, how are you getting the product out there and then recouping in that conversion cycle in an expedited way. This is, really, it's awesome to hear and see. Talk to us about the next kind of evolution, where you guys are headed. I know you got partnerships with the UFC and Joe Rogan, like
Yep.
you're starting to do stuff with really cool brands and people. And I know that's like, just again, pouring gasoline on an already burning fire. It can really blow things up, but many brands, you can't jump in right there out the gates, because you just don't have the money to do so typically. Now, where you're at and where you're going, talk to us about this next kind of evolution of hostage mouth tape.
Yeah. So hostage tape is the official sleep aid of the UFC.
Let's
It's
go.
wild. And I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that we would be that, because I didn't grow up a combat sports guy. I grew up a football player, right? Stick and ball guy. And I just didn't really follow it. But when they called around the Super Bowl of last year and said they were interested, we hopped on a plane, went out there and met with them. And I had, and at the time, I'm like, look, we're not Manscaped, we're not Prime, we're not these big brands. Like, there's just like, let's put this into perspective of where we're at. Like, we were doing well, but we weren't that well.
Yeah.
And so then, when we went to Power Slap then that night, and then I ended up meeting Dana White. Like, Tom Brady walks in, sits down next to Dana White, and then they're like, all right, Alex, are you ready to meet Dana White now, right after Tom Brady? And for me, I'm Tom Brady was a,
legend.
he's the GOAT for me. So I was on cloud nine.
Yeah.
So,
Did you meet
I go
Tom
in and I
too?
get what's that?
Did you get to meet Tom too?
I did. No, he left.
Oh,
Yeah, he was in and
yeah,
out. He was in and
yeah,
out. So I got a seat though.
yeah,
I had this phenomenal picture where I they had his seat. So in the Power Slap space, everybody they assign seats to all the
yeah.
VIP people, and Tom had his seat had his name on it. So
Mm.
I got a great picture of me sitting in his seat,
Oh, nice.
pointing to Tom Brady's sticker, and I was like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, I'm sitting in Tom Brady's seat." So I get to go up and I meet Dana White, and he
yeah,
turns around, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Where's Lorenzo at?" Lorenzo Fertitta, who founded the
yeah, yeah.
UFC with him, and Lorenzo comes over, and Dana says, "Alex, we were sitting there, and Lorenzo bumps me, and he says, 'Look, the hostage tape guys are here.'" And so I'm standing there in front of Dana White, Lorenzo Fertitta, Hunter Campbell, the who's who, some of the most powerful guys in the world. And just 2.5 years ago, we didn't exist. And
Yeah.
now these guys know exactly who we are, and they use the product, and it changed their lives. And it was just wild. So to answer your question, then, we're at a point now where we're the largest brand in the world in this space. We've basically taken a category and have redefined it, basically defined it, and made it what it is. Because you're going to go to our site, you're going to see us all over social everywhere after you go to our site. And then you're going to start to see some of my little cockroach competitors who are trying to copy what we're doing. And you're going to see them and realize, oh, wow, there's actually, looks like there's a bunch of mouth tape brands now. Well, yeah, it's
Yeah,
because of
yeah,
us. It's because of what we've created and how big
yeah.
we are. And we are basically the mouth tape brand.
Mhm.
And so now, because we're as big as we are, I've got my sights set on retail. It's
Mm.
now, how do we get into retail? So
Yeah.
I'm working on Walmart right now. We're gonna get into Walmart for next year,
Nice.
and the goal is that we're gonna be the first mouth tape brand in Walmart and in retail. Period. In fact, we're going to launch into retail in Canada here in January.
Oh,
So
cool.
they'll actually technically be the first retail chain that's got mouth tape anywhere. And then from there we'll spread, get into Walmart, and then go into more retail stores. So that's really our next frontier and our goal,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, retail is about volume and scale, because like you could look at our product and go, okay, great, cool, but if you understand the economics, we don't really make a lot of money on an individual pack. Right? That's not where we make our money. We make our money by bundling and selling more to a person.
Mm.
And so when somebody buys one pack, it's really more of just product seeding,
Right.
like we're basically losing money because of all the costs involved in
Right.
having this, shipping it, marketing, cost of acquisition.
Yeah.
So really, the actual game where we really make money at scale is getting the single pack into retail. That's
Mm.
then where the economics truly make sense, where then we can be profitable on an individual pack.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I mean, so much gold there, and I love the story with the UFC and how far you've come. I mean, fun fact: my buddy Alex, founder of Four Ocean, and my brother also works with Four Ocean as a consultant. He runs a company called Eco Breakthroughs that consults for Four Ocean, but they're both part of the Happy Hustle Club, our high level mastermind, and uh, they did a partnership with the UFC and are still partners on cleaning up the ocean. And so we got to go to UFC
Oh,
299
I saw that.
VIP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw Dana.
For
He's talked about it a couple times.
Oh yeah, they were on the boat with them, my brother and Alex, and we got to go meet Dana, sit front row. He put us up with Logan Paul and Mr. Beast and Grant Cardone and all of them. And I'm just like kind of part of the ride just because I'm
Which one was that? Which
UFC 299 too with
that was in
Sean
Miami.
O'Malley. Yeah, in
Dude,
Miami.
I was
Yeah.
there. I was
Were
there.
you?
In
Oh,
fact,
what?
believe it or not, that that was the one we went to right before we signed the deal. We actually
Oh,
signed the
what?
deal. We signed the deal that night.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we were there. We
Dude,
weren't
that's
front row,
crazy.
but we were there.
Were you in the little VIP section?
No, no,
Oh, because I was gonna say we
no.
probably bumped
We
shoulders,
weren't
but
that. we
Yeah,
weren't that
at the
high
time.
up.
But
I
now you
mean,
better be getting good seats. All right, I gotta know, what's it cost to advertise with Joe? I know my friend dropped
Rogan?
50 on it on an ad. Yeah.
Yeah. So if typically, so obviously with Joe Rogan, you're dealing with Spotify, right?
Yeah.
You're dealing with them and the Spotify media buying team.
Mm.
And typically what you're doing there is you have to buy a minimum 3-month commitment.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're usually buying a minimum 3-month commitment term, and you're spending at least 100K,
Yeah.
probably on that. So you're at least committing to 30 to 40K a month
Mm.
on that. And the problem even with that though is what we experienced is, yes, being on Joe Rogan is amazing. It's social proof beyond the
Right.
it's just amazing. Like people are like, "Oh my God, you're on Joe Rogan." Wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yes, Joe uses our product too.
Yeah.
But the issue is that there's a frequency point where if your ad is being served at a high enough frequency, there's a tipping point that happens where then it's a kind of a magic sweet spot where it really starts to resonate. Because look, at the end of the day, yes, you can have an ad and people might hear it, but people don't act on one ad.
No, it
It's
takes,
like
yeah,
the
what,
law of
9
seven.
impressions or 11?
It's
What's
seven.
the
Yeah. Well,
is it 7?
there's the
Yeah.
famous law of seven, which basically
Yeah.
says most people will act on an average of 7 touches. So
Yeah.
they need to see or interact with something around your brand 7 times, on average of 7 times, before they might make a move and buy.
Right.
Okay. So what that says is like, okay, most people aren't going to see your one ad and then buy. They're going to
Right.
need to see it 7 different places, 7 different ways before they might do something.
Mm.
And the same goes for like Joe, right? Even if they hear it, Joe say, this episode is brought to you by hostage tape.
Yeah.
And they may not do anything. They may be like, hostage
Or
tape? What the hell
scroll
is
right
that?
through it. Yeah.
Like, whoa, I didn't expect to hear that. But then when they hear him say it again, and then they hear him say it again, then it starts to
Yeah.
go, wait a minute.
What is
Okay,
this?
I keep hearing him talk about this. This is interesting. And so
Yeah.
the base amount with Joe almost isn't enough. You have to be willing to be able to spend more budget
Mm.
to truly make it, I think, work.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so that's the trick with Joe is it's not cheap. You got to be able to have the budget to spend and get enough frequency on the ads that are going out for it to, I think, really truly work. Unless you've got like some crazy amazing product that is going to hit regardless.
Yeah. Yeah. It's honestly a good perspective for most advertising, just being willing to like weather the storm and get those touch points and like commit enough. I think a lot of people quit early with their marketing efforts and they're this doesn't work. I put up a Facebook ad campaign, not working. I'm going to pivot, do something else. So yeah, lots of great
Well,
stuff here, man.
okay, let me
Yeah.
speak to that. So
Yeah.
yes, we did our first year we did 900K, and then in year 2 we did 14 million. Right,
Hmm.
pretty amazing. Even year 1 to do $1 million is amazing for anybody.
Right.
But
Right.
then to go from 1 million to 14 is like that just doesn't happen that
Yeah.
often. So but for us, like it took almost 8 months to even get Facebook moving in the right direction. We were
Mm.
sub 1 ROAS for probably the first year.
Oh,
Believe it or
wow.
not, it took that long for us to finally find it. Now, keep in mind, I'm selling mouth tape. And at the time, most people are like, what the hell is this? And it's called
Yeah.
hostage tape?
Yeah.
Really? So
Yeah.
already I've got the deck stacked against me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it was just breaking through that and using the brand as a way to get people's attention to really finally break through.
Yeah.
So that's, tricky in itself. You have to do it right. But
Yeah.
it it can take a long time, man. It's not easy. So,
No,
for a lot of
nothing
people,
worth doing
sometimes
is.
they have to, you have to put enough time into it, right? And keep chipping away, keep trying to
Mhm.
get better at it, and then don't give up too soon. I think what's his name called it the dip. Seth Godin, right? Talks about like the
Oh, yeah.
dip, I
Yeah.
think, right? Where there's this dip, like when you're working really hard on something or you're trying to work towards something, and then everybody has this dip, this moment where you think, ah, this isn't working, this isn't going anywhere. And it's right before that dip then starts to accelerate and then go exactly where you want it to, is most people give up.
Mm,
Right. And
that's true.
if you believe in what you're doing and you believe in where you're going and what you built, you just gotta fight through the dip, fight through it, keep going. And then you might have everything you want on the other side of it.
Amen, brother. That's happy hustling in a nutshell. Just got to use persistent consistency, right? And be patient. I love it. This is awesome, man. Where can people go? Where's the best place for people to get some hostage tape? A
Yeah,
website, and
absolutely.
also
So
follow you online too.
yeah. So go to hostagetape.com. Don't let bad sleep hold you hostage anymore. You can also find us on walmart.com and on Amazon. And
Nice.
then we're on all the socials at Hostage Tape. You can find me personally. I'm on LinkedIn, Alex Neist, as well as Alex Neist on all the other socials.
This is awesome, man. Great. And I know we're going over time, but man, this has been awesome. Just, digging in, and really appreciate you being willing to share like this entrepreneurial journey. Cause it's been a beast, and you've rode the wave, and look where you're at now. It's cool, man. Okay. I got a couple more questions. Just these are our
Yeah.
standard, and we'll fire through them. Happy hustle hacks or tip, tools, tactics, specifically something uniquely Alex. So let's talk first, something health related, something you do around health that we could deem a happy hustle hack.
I do a sauna every day.
Love it. Yeah. And what's the degrees that you keep it at, and for how long?
I honestly don't know the degree. I do it at the club. So I go to
Oh, okay.
Lifetime. And so
Nice.
I'm always going there. I do a sauna every day and then I'll do the cold plunge there as well. It's
Nice.
another one. I'm not
Yeah.
as religious about cold plunge. I'm religious about my sauna.
Yeah.
And I also do red light as well.
Nice. Yeah. We got a hot springs right by us, and it has a gym, cold
That sounds
sauna,
terrible.
steam, everything. And so that's my solace every day. I'm going after this, actually. All right. So let's talk about money. Um, a tip, a tool, a tactic, something to do with how you save, invest, or spend it wisely. Something, again, uniquely Alex, maybe.
Yep. So I learned this from Ramit Sethi.
Oh,
Ramit
nice.
Sethi talks about this concept called money dials. Okay.
Mm,
It's very counterintuitive. So think about it like this. Let's say you love to go to Starbucks and get a coffee. Most people would tell you, "Oh, well, just save your money. That adds up. Don't go to Starbucks and get a coffee. Just you could stay at home and make a coffee and you could save all this money." Well, but if it's something that you absolutely love doing and you get a lot out of it, then it's 100% worth it to go to Starbucks, enjoy that experience and get a coffee. So rather than dial back, sometimes turn the dial up on things that you love to do. Like for me, I love going out to eat. I go out to eat way more than most people do. And the reason is I work from home. I've been
yeah.
working from home for 20 years.
Mm,
I don't get out. I'm not
yeah.
out in the
Same.
real world.
Same.
So it's my way of getting out of the house, feeling like I'm a
Yeah.
part of the real world. Right. So for me, if I'm spending more money going out, it's my money dial that I'm going to turn up
Yeah.
because it means a lot to me and I get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
But then what that means is you have to be ruthless about dialing back in other areas that
Mm,
you definitely don't need. For
yeah.
example, maybe you've got way too many subscriptions to Netflix, to, YouTube, to all these other things that you could say, okay, I probably don't need all those. So let me just cut all those and I can
Yeah.
save an extra $100 a month on that stuff that's not needed.
Yeah. Love it. And that is really, it's your money dials, knowing what's important to you. Really great advice. Let's talk about spirituality. Again, I don't really think, I don't honestly care if one religion or another, what people believe in. I just think it's important to have faith in something bigger than yourself.
Yes.
When it comes to your spirituality, how do you connect with the higher power? Again, a happy hustle hack in this
Yeah.
arena.
Yeah, honestly, so I grew up Lutheran, but I'm not actually religious. I mean, I grew
Mm,
up, my mom was very religious, and I went to Sunday school and went to church, got confirmed, all of it. But my dad wasn't. My dad was he was a doctor, very scientific. So I had these two sides in my family. My dad
Mm,
never went to church with us. My mom always brought us to church.
mm,
But then the older I got, religion really wasn't what I connected to. I connected to, what do I have faith in? And at the time, my whole life was football. That was like my religion. That was my faith. It was what I believed in. But now I would say I'm a big believer in just the universe, the law of attraction, and manifesting. So
mm,
something that I do every day as part of my morning routine is I will manifest for, like, when I'm sitting in the sauna, I'll sit there and I close my eyes and I visualize exactly where I'm going to be in another year or two, what that feels like,
mm.
right? And I have this movie that plays in my head of all the details that I want, of where I'm going to be and what it feels like. Not just, it's not, I wish I was there. It's, this is what it feels like. So I'm feeling what it's like to sit in that spot, to touch this, to go up the stairs here, to do that, and all these elements of what I'm trying to manifest and where we're going to be.
Mm.
Right. And again, I'm a believer in the law of attraction, right?
Yeah.
That whole idea of, and I like to explain it to people like this. I say, a lot of people will go, the law of attraction, it's crazy, it's woo, it doesn't make any sense. But here's a scientific way to think about the law of attraction. So let's say you're shopping for a car, right? And let's use a Cybertruck, for example, because I can't wait to get my Cybertruck. You know,
I'm on the
let all
list,
the
but I
hate
pulled
come.
out.
I don't care. I want my
Yeah.
Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say that you go and you go to the Tesla shop and you see the Cybertruck and you're like, man, that's awesome. And then on the way home, all you see now are, like, you see Cybertrucks
Oh
when you
yeah.
see them. Like, they're
Yep.
few and far between, but they're starting to pop up and you
Yep.
see them. But the reality is that now that you're focused on that, now you're seeing them. They might have been there the whole time. You
Right.
just weren't focused on it. So the law of attraction really is just, it's your brain. It's what you're focused on, what you're
Oh yeah.
telling your brain to be open to. So now, if you're focused on your dreams, your aspirations, your goals, now you're seeing all of the opportunity around you that
Mm.
supports you getting that dream, getting that goal, being where
Yeah.
you want to be. That's the law of attraction.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, and I know, there's a name for it. I believe it's called the reticular activating system, where you
The
see
reticular
something, right?
activating system. Yep.
Right. And then you just dial in and you see more of it. Beautiful example. All right, Alex, this has been awesome. I'm going to put you through the rapid fire round and then we'll wrap this up. So this is just real quick, basically random questions. And you just answer
Okay.
honestly. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. Favorite food? Go.
Pizza.
Favorite movie?
Oh, Rudy.
Nice. Favorite book?
I'm reading a new one. Storyworthy by Matthew Dix.
Nice.
Love this
Best
book.
business advice?
Best business advice. My mom taught me this when I was a kid, and it's applicable in business. You can do anything you want to do. You just have to be willing to do the work, and you can do it.
Mhm. Love it. What's your spirit animal?
Man,
First thing that came to mind. What was it?
bear.
Nice. 3 things you're most grateful for today.
Being on the podcast with you, meeting people like
Let's
you.
go.
I'm grateful for. I had a great meeting with my business partner Ben, strategizing on a few things that we were doing. And I'm grateful that my wife, she did some volunteering today, and I know that makes her really happy.
Love it. And if you had a billboard with basically your last piece of content for the whole world to see, what would you put on that billboard?
It would be my founder story. There's a, if you go to my YouTube page, go to the Hostage Tape YouTube page, there's a video that's pinned there, and it's my founder story where I talk about how I had everything, right? And I went through a divorce, and then I founded this company, and I lost everything. I lost my family, but then I actually got my family back. My wife and I are actually back together. And
Mm.
so that would be that story. It's like my hero's journey. That would be the content.
It's going to be a long billboard, but I love it. Someone's going to have to stop and park and pull over and read it all. This was
Totally.
awesome, man. You crushed that rapid fire round, Alex. And brother, man, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom, the economics of hostage tape, and your journey, and really like the inspiration for all the entrepreneurs out there who want to grow a business. I feel like there were so many golden nuggets in here that people can extract and learn from. So just grateful for you, and thank you again for the time, man.
Thanks for having me, man. And remember, don't let bad sleep hold you hostage.
That's right. All right. Final question is what I ask everybody. What does happy hustling mean to you?
Happy hustling? Happy hustling means go after your passion, find your mission, and go after it. And if you want it, man, put everything into it and go do it.
Mm, mic drop. Let's go. Alex Neist, y'all. Hostage tape. Thanks for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love, everybody.